So it looks like Neil Marshall is back with another movie, and I know horror fans are excited for this one, and I just got to finally catch it. And let's see how many pools of blood I give it. But as usual, from the top, we'll start with the IMDb plot here. When Royal Air Force pilot Lieutenant Kate Sinclair is shot down over Afghanistan, she finds refuge in an abandoned underground bunker. Not a good idea. Where deadly man-made biological weapons, half human, half alien, are awakened. Yeah, don't wake those things. Just let them sleep. They were sleeping, but yeah. Anyway, so as usual, this is a new film. So I'll try to be as spoiler free as possible. I don't think there's too many things, mystery here. After reading the summary, pretty standard stuff here. Maybe small, minor twists, but nothing crazy here. I think you pretty much get what you expect. This is let me just check real quick. Yeah, it says action horror here, and I would say that appropriately describes it. It's just a real action movie that has a lot of aliens involved in it, and the aliens are kind of driving the action. Or at least for most of it. There's a little bit, in like the opening scene, you do see her get shot down, and she survives the crash, and is then attacked by some Afghan forces that are out here in this desert, and that's when she kind of it's actually a pretty good opening scene here. And how she escapes, and then she runs into this kind of tunnel, cave tunnel, whatever you want to call it. And the further she goes, then she kind of ends up in this mystery laboratory kind of thing, and the soldiers chase after her. And yeah, that's when she finds herself, and the soldiers find themselves in trouble because in the midst of their fighting, they do awaken these creatures that are in this laboratory. From that point on, she makes her escape out back into the desert. We get our introduction to these creatures, and then she's met by friendly forces, and she plays a British soldier. She meets some Americans, and they take her in, and she kind of is saying, hey, it's not safe out here, between these other soldiers and more specifically these creatures. We should be leaving. We should be getting out of here. How can you leave? If you don't want to leave, how can you help me at least leave? But that's not really the case. Some military type stuff starts happening, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They end up having to stay, and let's just say the creatures, this is not one of those times where they sit back, or I should say that the soldiers are going to go looking for the creatures. The creatures are not going to sit back. They are going to go on the attack, and they attack this base where these soldiers are, and pursuing more action. And then it just kind of continues down that hole of the soldiers fighting for their survival, and how do they get rid of these creatures, and that kind of thing. So like I said, not a big spoiler here, because we've kind of seen this kind of plot before, and so forth. So that's kind of what you have to look forward to in this movie. I would say the creatures are pretty badass. They look like, what is the name? I'll figure out the name but in a few minutes. I meant to look that up before. God, I'm so bad with my memory here. I think they remind me of, what is his name? Venom. A little bit of Venom. I don't know. I kind of saw a little bit of Venom in it. But still, a lot more nastier, and not talking and not being as funny. But yeah, a little bit of Venom kind of remind me of, kind of dark in the way it is kind of built. But yeah, much more nasty looking. And they definitely come on the onslaught slot here, and there's a lot of them, and that makes for some good fun because there's a lot of them to kill, and then there's some soldiers to be killed. So you kind of get the back and forth of lots of people and creatures getting killed, which can generally be fun. I'm not gonna say the special effects were great in all aspects. I didn't go and search. I don't know how much was practical special effects and CGI. Sometimes I can tell this is a dark film, so I couldn't tell in all circumstances, what was going on, but it looked like maybe a mix. I'm not 100% sure, but some scenes came out okay. There were other moments that were clearly fake. There's one towards the end. I'm not going to mention it because that's at the end, and I don't want to kind of give away what's happening, although it's not a huge twist or surprise. But there's something that happens towards the end, which is really fake. I didn't really like that shot. That was not one of their better shots in the movie. For those who saw, might know what I'm talking about towards the end of the movie. But I think it was okay. I don't think it was the best or the worst. I think it was all right. I don't think it was going to ruin your view. Like I said, there were pretty good, couple of good, decent scenes where at least the humans got killed. Sometimes when the creatures get killed, whatever, blah blah. But there was one I think towards the end in an elevator, which was pretty nice. There's I guess there's minor things about this film, I guess, that kind of didn't make it perfect. Kind of like I said, that one shot at the end. There was another time where I guess I won't say who did it, but I guess one of the soldiers decides I think he pulled grenades. That's what it seemed like he did, and he kind of pulls the grenades and runs towards one of these creatures, and then kind of explodes. And you would have thought it would have been a bigger explosion, and especially where it takes place in a smaller area, and you would have thought that maybe more damage would have done to that person, to the people around, to where they were, and it just didn't seem like, I don't know. I know, they say, well, you fall in the grenade that kind of holds it, but then even the damage to that person didn't seem like it was. I don't know, like just minor stuff like that along the way. If you want to nitpick at some things, I guess there was here. Like I said, I don't think the special effects were perfect all the way through. But I think overall, if you're looking for action horror, this was not terrible. It was fun enough. Like I said, there's a lot of fighting going on between these creatures and the soldiers. Some good, interesting battles. The creatures, I should also say, I guess could spit out or had extending, what do you call it, arms, or worm-like arm or whatever. And it seemed like they were trying to read some of the soldiers' heads or brains, whatever, trying to get information, I guess. That was kind of creepy in itself, and it specifically went after Kate a couple of times, and you kind of see her with this worm-like thing around her neck. That meant for made some fun. One guy kind of had a machete, so he's chopping away at some of these creatures. That made for a little bit of fun. In all, it's kind of a mixed bag here. I think if you're watching this, I kind of pointed out a few parts that were iffy or nitpicking here and there. For me, maybe you guys watch it, you might nitpick some other things, or maybe some of the same things. But I think I think you're going to be overly blown away by it. But I don't think it was a terrible movie. I thought it was decent. The acting is okay. I guess this Charlotte Kirk has now played. I don't know what the relationship is, but if I'm not mistaken, she's been in at least a couple of his movies now, at least a couple of the last movies that Neil's done, and I don't know why. Did she? Well, I guess she's also been a writer. I think she was a writer. I can't remember the previous film that they did, but she was also in that one. So I guess she's also writing them as well, or being one of the writers. So maybe that's why. So I don't know what your feelings on her. She looked a lot different in this movie than I think the previous one. She did all right in her role. A mixed bag here with the soldiers. I think some of them you might like. There was one in particular I didn't like. I don't know I don't know if it was the actor or just the way they wanted that role. I don't think you're meant to overly like that character anyway, but I certainly didn't care for them. So you're going to get a mixed bag here of these soldiers. You're going to find out a little bit about these soldiers and why they're there and so forth. There's small twists, nothing major here. They throw in a few things here and there about the soldiers and knowledge of hey, where the hell these alien creatures come from and so forth. You'll find that out as the movie goes along and so forth. But all stuff that you'd kind of expect. So all in all, I'm going to give this one 2.5 pools of blood. I liked some of the action. Like I said, some of the deaths were pretty good, whatever. But it was far from perfect, and when there's things that you could easily kind of point out to be like, I don't know about that, and that was clearly fake, and blah, blah, blah. That kind of brings it down a little for me. So I still think it's worth a watch if you kind of like these alien kind of movies. If you're looking for a little more action in your horror, this might not be a bad way to go. But not a huge knock it out of the park here movie. So I'm going to give it 2.5 pools of blood, and of course that is out of 5. So with that, HorrorSquareReviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and these video reviews. But if you're just interested in the video reviews, you can subscribe, do all those things that everybody wants you to do. Or if you want to just head over to the blog and check out some of the written reviews. Haven't written as much lately, but there's plenty going back and so forth as I kind of try to shoot out some more videos from for now. And Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Feel free to reach out to me. Talk horror, talk about this movie if you've seen it. If you have something you want me to review, try to get that done if possible. And also in the comments section, if you've seen this movie, what do you think of it? What do you think of these creatures? Did you agree? Do they kind of look like Venom to you? I don't know, a little bit. Not huge, to complain, but they kind of remind me a little bit of it. So what are your thoughts? Throw them down there, and we can maybe talk about the movie. So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.